Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you the 3 best blog post ideas to do for 2021 and going into the future. I'm going to break down why these are the best types of blog posts that you need to do and kind of where things are going. So the first thing you need to know is that you need to rank, but you also need to rely less on SEO in the future. The reason for this is Google is basically making the space for organic results a little bit smaller over time. If you look at how search results were 20 years ago versus how they are now, they're adding a lot of new things like more ads. They're adding videos at the top of search results for certain things. They're adding job listings at the top of search results. They're adding all sorts of other things like snippets, different places where they answer specific questions where you don't really need to click on a blog post. So in other words, if you look at search results over time on Google's search engine, they're kind of making it where organic search results are not necessarily the number one thing at the top anymore. So that means you need to focus on keeping people around and making an impact when they do find you so that they become repeat viewers, repeat subscribers, repeat customers. So for instance, if you go to Google and you type in, say, internet marketing tips. So you look at something like this. Now the thing is, you don't see a lot of ads for this one. A lot of times when you search for just about anything, you're gonna see the first few parts at the top are gonna be like 2 or 3 paid ads using Google AdWords. You also have this new type of thing that they've been doing the last few years where they show you what one of the top search results is, and then this top result will have a portion of their post in like a snippet at the very top of results. So it's one of these things where like it's good if you're the one that's getting that top result, but if you're number 2, it's not as good as it used to be if you're number 2, 3, 4, 5 down the line. Because look how much real estate on the page this takes up. You actually have to scroll down just to see the second best option. And now they're doing more than one like this. And you also have this new section here that's been around for a few years now where they have quick answers to questions. So these can sometimes answer somebody's question without people even having to click on the blog post. So this kind of stuff is why you don't want to just rely on SEO, but you need to do blog posts that get quick traffic, quick bursts of traffic, as well as getting people to, say, bookmark the page or to subscribe to your email list. So this is what you kind of want to focus on. Get traffic, subscribers, sales, build your brand, likability, your brand trust, all of that. That's what a blog post is supposed to do. But what you want to do now, instead of just ranking, obviously ranking is still a very big part of this, but you also want people to possibly bookmark the page, link to it, so backlinks, you probably know what that is if you're watching this video, and you also want people to subscribe. So on a blog, usually that means subscribe via email. So the first type of blog post that you can do that's really doing well right now and for the future is a guide, like an ultimate guide. So you want to have one of the longest, most in-depth possible blog posts for whatever subject you're trying to rank for. How can people find it? Through SEO, of course. You'll still use your keyword phrase in your title and throughout the post and everything like that. Is it more in depth than the competition? That's one way to judge whether or not your blog post is good enough to be in the top results. And is it easy to navigate? So you'll also notice a lot of companies and individuals are using a table of contents at the top of their blog post and making it easier for people to navigate to the specific part of the post that they're looking to get an answer in. So one example of someone who's very good at internet marketing and has specialized in this for decades is Neil Patel. Literally his entire business is about marketing, so you can bet that he knows what he's doing, and he's built his brand pretty much off of blogging. So he has branched off into YouTube and podcasting and stuff, but for the most part, blogging is what got him his fame. So if you look at one of his blog posts, pretty much any blog post he ever does is extremely in-depth. So you see lots of headlines, you see lots of different aspects to it. You see lots of screenshots, you see graphs, you see sometimes embedded videos now since he started a YouTube channel. And these are usually blog posts that are thousands of words long. At least 1,000 or 2,000 words per blog post, I would say, is pretty average for a blog post from Neil Patel. And he used to have a site called Quick Sprout that really kind of took off. He sold that. Now he's building his personal brand more with neilpatel.com. But he built this website in, a year or two, and now it's already in the top, few thousand websites in the world. He's an SEO expert, and the way he's built this following is by doing guides. Instead of just a blog post that has maybe a 5 or 10 points, he'll do almost like a miniature ebook on each subject. And that's what makes it rank, is because it's so much more in depth than anything his competition is doing. And another way you can do this, you make these guides and then you also basically update them year after year. So for instance, you look at backlinko.com. Another guy who's a SEO specialist is Bryant. His entire brand is about SEO services and pretty much built his following through blog posts as well. Also kind of went the Neil Patel route and started doing YouTube maybe a couple years ago, but mostly known for his blog backlinko.com. So for instance, he does these huge guides. He doesn't even seem to publish new blog posts that often, but when he publishes a blog post, it's one of the biggest, most in-depth pieces on the internet for that particular subject. So YouTube SEO, for instance, how to rank YouTube videos in 2021. Instead of writing a new post every year, he'll just make this post longer and longer and more in depth and update it year after year. It also saves you time by doing this. So people will bookmark this page. I've literally done this myself, so I'm not telling you just, oh yeah, I assume people bookmark this page. No, I've literally done this as someone who needs to know marketing to keep my own business afloat. And this guy is one of the best in the business. So you look at his guides, it's literally like reading an ebook on the subject, because it's so in depth and it's got thousands and thousands of words, screenshots, case studies, graphs, videos, everything that you would need to know about these subjects. And you'll notice that's why he gets thousands of shares on the page. That's why he gets hundreds of comments on the page, because it's, he tries to do the exact best guide on the particular subject he's trying to blog about. And that's why these guys always rank in search results as well. So if you look at, say, how to rank YouTube videos in Google, you're pretty much always going to find Backlinko as one of the top blog posts in organic search results. And pretty much you look at any post that Neil Patel has done in the last few years, a lot of times you're going to find the same type of thing. These guys, they use a very similar strategy. They create ultimate guides, and that's why they rank. And again, you also want to make this easy to navigate. So for instance, instead of them having to navigate and scroll down for what seems like a solid 5 or 10 minutes just to find the particular section of the blog post that person wants to look at, you can have a table of contents like you see here on millennialmoney.com, where you can pick on the specific one that you want to look at, and it'll take you directly to the part on the list of the blog post that you want to look at. So you might research a YouTube video on how to do that and start making really long blog posts that are thousands of words long, very in-depth. Just try to make the best possible blog post in each subject. And these are the types of ones that get backlinks, that get bookmarks, that people will remember and come back to, whether it's ranking number 1 or not. So the next type of post, number 2, is what I call a utility post. So this is basically like a quiz, a calculator, some sort of web tool. You see graphic design tools that are embedded in a browser. These types of utility posts, as I call them, get bookmarks, backlinks, long session times, meaning there's not a very high bounce rate, which is another part of ranking in search results. And people will subscribe a lot of times to get the results of these quizzes, these calculators, these tools, because it's kind of a service to them. So you can do all sorts of things with these. You can get software and different services that will help you build these with a drag and drop editor without you having to hire somebody or to code it yourself. But let's look at a few examples. So one, of course, that you've probably heard of is the 16 personalities test. You can go to 16personalities.com, and people can take this test and figure out what type of personality they have, and then they have all these blog posts that relate to each personality to kind of better understand yourself. So you go to take the test, and then you can fill out this test and basically better know yourself. People have this for political things that help you figure out where on the political spectrum you are on. It helps you figure out what kind of personality you have, what type of you've probably heard of like the love language test. You've heard all of these different tests that you can take that people, you've probably had friends try to get you to take some of these. They're very popular. It's a great way to get people to come to your website without having to worry about ranking and, having it show up in search results and relying completely on that. Another thing is a calculator. So you look at something like calculator.net. They literally built an extremely popular website with lots of traffic. Looks like they're number 3,000 or so in the entire world in terms of traffic. And they have just a literal site full of calculators, where it's health and fitness, math, financial, they have all sorts of different types of things, like an auto loan calculator. You have mortgage calculators, you have health and fitness calculators, and it's just like just an easy thing you can do to get people to keep coming back to your website, even if they don't necessarily see you just in search results. And you can create these types of tools using Outgrow.co. You can create calculators, you can create surveys, quizzes, chatbots, polls, assessments. You don't necessarily just have to write another list post or another how-to post or something like that, or another tutorial. You can get a little more creative, have built-in tools that people keep coming back to over and over again because they want to use these tools. And then number 3, the news post. The news post, of course, has been around for a very long time, but this is a way you can rank for something that's not necessarily what would be an evergreen piece of content. So when you think of evergreen, you think of something like how to do this, or how to rank on YouTube or something like that. So a lot of the posts you see, for instance, used by top marketers and bloggers like Neil Patel and Brian Dean from Backlinko are, about ranking or something, or evergreen content that, like, someone like Brian Dean, he just updates this blog post year after year, and it just continues to rank in the top search results. But another way you can do that, if you want to get quick traffic and you don't have something that's already ranking, or you don't want to just wait on something that may take months to years to finally show up in the top page of search results, you can do something that can get you quick spikes in traffic doing news posts. So for instance, if you look at just random subjects that are popular right now, depending on the month or week that you're watching this. So for instance, Olympic Basketball USA, you can look that up. There's all kinds of stuff going on right now about this. And you can also look at how many search results there are. Obviously, this has a lot of search results. 432 million search results is a lot of competition. If you can find some type of news that has, just a few million search results, less than 10, ideally even less than 5, then you have a pretty good chance of actually getting some traffic from that. And you also have like the Google Discover feature, where if you look at, say, Google Chrome on your phone and you're just on the Google home page, a lot of times you'll see news and stuff pop up there. That's not even SEO related, really. It's just a different Discover tool where people can also get suggestions for content that they might want to read. So it can get you a quick spike in traffic. It gives people a reason to subscribe if you can be consistent and come out with news on a daily or weekly basis. So you can do news breaks yourself, which is difficult. That's, you look at journalism sites and stuff, they will break news, and that's one of those things where you probably have to hire people to do it. Or you can do compilations. You can find the best news sources on a small niche, do compilations of news for the day. A lot of times people just don't want to go to each individual site for news all the time. If you can give them an all-in-one place, like a newsletter or a all-in-one curated blog post on a daily basis of the latest news in a particular niche from the best sources, that's another reason for people to subscribe and become part of your email list and keep coming back to your blog. You can also repurpose other mediums as well. You can take a YouTube video and make a news post in blog post form. You can take some news from a podcast and put it in blog post form. You can take a social media post, put it in blog post form. And you can also look at Google's trends. So news usually is something where nothing's really going on, and it just has a spike and then it goes away. So USA men's basketball, same example. So no one's really searching for that much until boom, right when it becomes time for the Olympics. You also have the Jeff Bezos space flight. He went on Blue Origin. Obviously, he's the founder of Amazon, and he just went on a space mission recently. You look at a big spike in the Jeff Bezos space flight search boom, a bunch of people started searching for that right towards the end of July because it's news. It's something that just happened. So if you can find a way to do news posts on things that just happened, you don't necessarily have to do really long guides like Neil Patel and, Brian Dean and some of these others do, which is more for evergreen content. If you want to do short posts, they need to be more like news, something that just happened, some brand new keywords that aren't normally searched for all the time. And this gives you a chance to kind of get some quick spikes in traffic, get some new subscribers, and then you just got to keep it going from there. So you can actually curate the top news sources from the best blogs in a particular niche by using a tool called Feedly. So Feedly is one where you can basically import a bunch of RSS feeds, and then you can go and look at the latest news on there on a daily basis, and then maybe create some sort of news post on your blog based on the latest news from these places. So you can even import things from Reddit and other social media accounts as well, YouTube channels. It doesn't necessarily just have to be blogs. But one example of how I've done this on my own blog, for instance, is I have a blog that's about, of course, finance and building a career online. So I cover businesses, I cover jobs, and then I also cover side hustles and way to build your income once you've gotten a job or a business. So for instance, one way I can do news is I can break news on an update with certain types of businesses, or an update on, like, for instance, I did a blog post on Instagram when they were starting to roll out new updates on monetization, where you could start directly monetizing your Instagram account. That's some news I could do that's related to my audience. I can do jobs. If you want to work from home and get a job, I'll do a news post. I have a whole database full of these work from home job sources that I can get this news out before any other job blogs will get it out. And so people will come to my site over and over, my other YouTube channel over and over, because they get these job updates for these high paying work from home jobs that they probably wouldn't get anywhere else, or they wouldn't get as fast anywhere else. So to sum it up, you want to do guides. If you want to do evergreen content, like how to do something, or a tutorial, or just rank something in general, you want to do a guide. You want to do something very long and in depth, with maybe a table of contents at the beginning so people can navigate it, and you want to have the most in-depth article of all time on that subject. If you want to do something that will get you a lot of backlinks and a lot of people bookmarking your website and coming back regardless of whether they're subscribers or regardless of your SEO, do utilities like quizzes, calculators, tests, tools, all that kind of stuff. Have some sort of utilities where people can go, and it's almost like using software on a site, or getting some sort of feedback on something on a website instead of them having to download software or to hire a professional. And then you have news. You want to get a quick spike in traffic. You want to rank for something while doing short blog posts. You can do news because these are keywords that are just going to have a quick spike for a few days. You capitalize on that, you ride the wave. If you do this consistently and you build a database of news sources, you can start getting subscribers by doing these short news posts. So hopefully this was helpful. This is kind of the way blogging seems to be going. These are some examples. And don't forget to subscribe if you want more marketing tips and tutorials. And I'll see you in the next video.